Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Taurus July 2023 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and I've had the great pleasure of doing a number of clairvoyant readings for Taurians from different parts of the world over the course of the last month. And I've also done a number of healings as well over FaceTime and Skype in both cases. Now, readings, of course, I charge for. Healings are free. Now, if you might be interested to see what's involved in organizing either of those, just check out the description box below. Now, what we have here is we have a deck which has got a number of vampires in it. Now, the subscribers know, great to see you, that there are no video advertisements in this content, and so you get to enjoy the whole thing, the whole experience, uninterrupted by video ads. Now, this is a vampire deck, I suppose, is what you'd call it. It seems to have a lot of vampires in it, but the vampires they're very romantic. They're very romantic, or at least I find them very romantic anyway. And I must say that I have, for some reason, which I can't put my finger on, a great affinity with the paintings on it, which provide a lot of insight into, I think, what is going to be happening with you in this month of July. So let us see what there is in store for you, shall I? And we'll take 5, because that's all we need. There's the 7 of Scepters. See, there's a card which is a romantic looking figure, I think, and there's another one, the 6 of Grails. What might this be here? The daughter of Grails. Let's see what else there is. Grails, I assume, would be cups. We'll see in just a second, but let's have a look. Here is, got a lovely line of ladies there. The 9 of Knives. Let's see what there is here now for you, Taurus, for your final card, and then we'll get straight into it, shall we? And there is Temperance, indeed. Well, why don't you come, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the paintings on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Now, this is an interesting story for you, if I can just have a quick look at it, but then we'll get into the detail of it. You have some dark thoughts which are possibly haunting you at night. But nevertheless, you call upon a higher power, I think, to deal with it. You then become quite firm and aggressive and overcome the obstacles in your mind and work out a plan of attack, which you then sort out through this process of either defeating the enemy or making some sort of a treaty with it. So a lot of sexual activity here and a great degree of physical, emotional, and material well-being going with it as well. Let's look first then at this 9 of Knives, shall we? See what this girl has to tell us. Now, I will say first up that the astrology associated with this energy is that of Mars in... it would be Mars in Gemini, I think. And frankly, the aggressive, one-pointed nature of Mars does not sit well with the scattered energy of Gemini. And therefore you can become prey to your own thoughts, which loop around and around and around. But let's look at the picture here. And here, the woman that appears here is cold-blooded and deadly. And she's looking at you, isn't she, with... oh, butter wouldn't melt in my mouth sort of look about her. Her dagger, however, is showing the bloody evidence of a secret conspiracy. Now, her plans of hidden intrigue are cold and calculated, but with sharp precision. Now remember, these are thoughts of yours coming around and around, and you know your Achilles heel better than anybody else. Nobody can hurt you the way you hurt yourself. And this 9 also has here, for me, a mystical association with that of the moon. So what we're talking about here, I think, is really the subconscious level. Now, when this is combined with the sharp clarity of the knife suit, that is of swords here, then, and also influenced by the fiery Mars and that very changeable, chaotic energy of Gemini, well, it makes for some instability mentally. Egocentric, forceful, and yet mysterious. This energy relates to deep psychological activity for you at the moment. Now, for the mind to be balanced, your thoughts must flow easily. But here, the energy has crystallized in the shadows, and the consciousness is degenerating back into the realm of unenlightened, hard reason, and agnosticism. Now, it seems to me that this is an energy which can sneak up on you late at night when you're feeling the most vulnerable. Guilt, worry, anxiety, sorrow, and suffering can torture you, leaving you alone, locked in your personal prison, where you think isolation and loneliness prevail, and your inner demons haunt you with fear and doubt, causing emotional pain and anguish. But remember, you overcome this. I'm just dealing with this energy here and tells you why you overcome it in just a second. But through concentrating yourself, you shift that energy so the painful situation is going to pass. Now, the gift of this energy is the realization that you are not alone, but you are connected to the greater whole, and that you are a child of the divine. You are a soldier of light and need to forever follow that loving light with every thought you make and action you take. Now, in a sense here, there's the opportunity for you to create your own personal dungeon. All the negative actions and thoughts you have suppressed or avoided to come back full circle to haunt you. Those thought patterns and actions have imprisoned you in a web of circumstances where it seems impossible to free yourself. Your mind is being tortured with no apparent escape. But it passes. Now, your first instinct might be to blame others or circumstances for your situation. But hiding behind that dark shield won't work anymore. You see, the Spirit, in a sense, brings you to your knees to face your personal demons, putting you back on the path of love and light, and it is time to confront those dark places and demons, neutralize them by shifting your focus from negative thinking into higher consciousness. Do you know, this can symbolize any circumstances that trouble your heart and mind, signaling a time of retreating away from the outer world, maybe, as you process things like worry, which don't exist, things that you worry about, they never come to pass. Now it's time for releasing pain and cleansing the soul and heart so that healing can occur. Now, the lost part in your heart can never be filled. But with time, if you allow yourself to be in the light of love, you will grow a new heart. Now, something that could be happening is that you might be ruminating over some particular thing that didn't work out, or where you feel you've been a failure or that you failed at something. Well, I'm here to tell you that the acceptance of your failures is in reality the acceptance of your Creator's perfection. One of the biggest mistakes is to ignore what happens within you. There is no shame in letting your Creator know that you are falling and that you need it to pick you up. The fall of the ego becomes the rise of the soul. Your soul wants to meet you. It wants to breathe. It wants to speak. It wants to see with the clarity of the eyes of your heart. These eyes of the heart are the eyes bestowed directly upon you by your Creator to witness Him and His pleasure. And the friends of the divine are in search not of their own eyes, they are in search of His eyes. But you then get your act together, I must say, and you react with some ferocity. and you dig deep. This is really a case of you digging deep and triumphing, because it is Mars in the suit of Leo here. So the fiery, aggressive energy of Mars pushing you forward, and Leo, well, basically center stage, the star of the show. That is what you will become. Now, this girl here, looking at her, she looks something like a sort of a cat, doesn't she? And she is quite ferocious in the way that she is dealing with her thoughts, I think, or with circumstances that come toward her. Yes, this really is the time for you to dig deep into the realms below you, as is signified by this moon that's sitting up there, the subconscious. And it's a time to balance your ego and your heart, and you now find the spiritual courage and, more importantly, the confidence to break through the struggles that life presents. Now, this allows the cosmic fire of your kundalini to burn away any limitations that block your inner strength. So harness that energy and empower yourself to follow your true path with conviction. Move to a higher ground, seeing the bigger picture and acting from courage and wisdom. Now, the lesson from this energy here, I think, is having confidence to stand by your truth with integrity, courage, and honor. Now, in uncertain times, don't be influenced by what you hear, read, or watch. Trust your intuition and your gut feeling. Listen to your inner guidance and transcend surface illusions and limitations. Do you know, confrontation and conflict are going to bring light to a struggling aspect within you that will allow you healing, strength, and transformation. Allow you to dispel the thoughts and the feelings that were previously there within you, because you now have the divine within you as well. And I think that this is also asking you to reassess your beliefs and values as you stretch and grow. Is your mind and your heart in agreement with your actions? And this is also saying, know when to pick your battles. Think before you act. Stop and feel if what you are thinking about actually is in balance with your heart. This energy here awakens your inner truth, your power, your life force, and your mental ability and confidence. We'll have a look at this card that is sitting down here in the bottom right-hand corner, and what does it have to say? Let's have a look. Can I see what it is? Temperance. Is that a bow? When I say a bow, there is a... Well, let me bring it in for you, I suppose, first up, and we shall see. Now, there is here, I notice... Well, there's obviously Sagittarius that's there, but I notice that she has a bow and an arrow that's there. There is a lot of optimism for you at this time, and deservedly so. Because here, the female vampire, well, she's really dancing a sort of a ritual dance as she works her alchemy, adding and combining, stirring and distilling. Now, the potion that she creates in her dark cauldron contains all the elements in a precise recipe, I think, just in accordance with her design. And she merges fire with water, which creates a vapor that comes from the reunification of that which has been dissolved. Now, the vapor is the result of combining opposites, and that creates new, almost like an act of conception of a child. Do you understand? This is what's going on for you now. There's new opportunity in life coming to you. Now, this awakens your hidden power. There is a new element here for you that is unique, containing aspects of what you might consider to be opposites. The process that you are going through dissolves old frameworks of belief, and it dissolves old thought patterns and ruminations. And that obviously has something to do with it, as we can see here as well. You see, they're all connected, these cards. Now, I see that she's got, yeah, I just can't help but notice that she did have that bow there, and she's holding an arrow. Well, the bow, I think, really is certainly symbolic of Sagittarius and its nature of controlled movement and rhythm. And her arrow represents the point of precise focus, which has been dipped into the elixir, ready to penetrate with new power. Now, I can't also help but notice that the myth of the huntress Diana in mythology is also reflected here by the bow and arrow, and the entrance for you into new light and understanding is symbolized by this radiant gateway in the background, which connects the spiritual and earthly realms. Now, what else can we say about this lady here? I would say that, well, ordinarily she has the major arcana number 14, and that is the number of mental foundation, imagination, and will. And it is the number of the awakened spiritual self integrated into the material world, the visionary, the alchemist who understands how the energies of nature, spirit, and humanity work together. Now, interesting though, she is going to melt away conflict after you have successfully revolved it. The magic elixir here blends and balances energies, bringing rebirth of yourself, and in this process, you begin to integrate the spiritual and material worlds of the conscious and the subconscious self. She combines the mystical, masculine, and feminine energies to bring you healing and promise. And this process of creation moves you away from stagnation and ignites the life force and imagination within you. You begin to explore and expand your own unique individual talents in the world here. Now, her calming presence brings peace to anything which is in disharmony. The quiet, meditative energy of this card slowly ignites the powerful life force within you to birth magnificent creations. This energy is going to ensure that you come off as alive, magnetic, beautiful, and inspiring. You will be the magician of your own life. Now, I trust that you might be up for some physical pleasure, because that is what is coming through here very strongly for me. I don't think I need to spend any time on the imagery of the card itself. It's really quite straightforward, isn't it? Here is this snake coming through, which is the tempter, I suppose, if you look back at that chapter 2 of Genesis story in the old Hebrew Bible of the Old Testament. In any event, a young woman here really looking quite at peace with herself. Well, this is, now it's a number 6, 6 of Grails, so I have associated with the number 6 the sun. I also have associated with this energy that of Christ consciousness, Krishna consciousness, Vishnu consciousness, and the consciousness of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he received the Quran from the Archangel Gabriel. Now, I have the sun in the number 6. I also have, astrologically, the sun ruling the second decan of Scorpio, which is the, what would it be, the 3rd to the 12th of November, is what I get here. So it is, here we have a double sun. So sun in the astrology, sun in the numerology, and a double sun reveals what Scorpio wants to hide. And what we also find here is that there is great pleasure here, indulgence, sexual pleasure is what I'm getting. Now, if you're not with someone, you can still enjoy sexual pleasure, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's also excitement, family support, but the pleasure here is the kind of pleasure which is completely harmonized. Now, with Scorpio governing this energy here as I see it, well, pleasure is planted in its most fertile soil, isn't it? This is a preeminently fertile energy, and frankly, I think it's one of the best in the pack. So I see lust, enjoyment, pleasure in sexual relationships, and a rich exchange of sexual and heart energy. There's also a great degree of emotional renewal going on. But you know, the pleasure which is being experienced here might be such that comes about after much hardship, would that be? Definitely the emphasis on this energy is that of sexuality. And but because I'm looking at this cup here, and for some reason I'm getting a feeling of, now I know it's a 6 and it's the sun, but this is also giving me a feeling of, I'm just getting a feeling of Venus around it as well, which is very much healing. This cup with the, well, in this case, blood in it, but there is a great period of healing underway for you and transformation. Now, the emphasis is on a relationship, or on the desire to have a relationship that will improve both of the individuals, where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Well, enjoy now all which life gives you. This is the best way to express your gratitude. Are you holding on to old beliefs which prevent your enjoyment of pleasure? And enjoy your own emotional wealth and share it with others. And say this to yourself if you are not in a committed relationship. I am now open to a partner with whom I can share the joys of love on all levels. Then I think that takes us finally, doesn't it? Let's have a look. Is it finally? We did that, we did that, we did that. Yes, it does. To this, the daughter of Grails. Is very complementary to this 6 of Grails, I would suggest. But let's have a look first of all. Now, here, this young woman presents as a virgin priestess skilled in the occult arts of glamour and dream fantasy. Now, her nature is one of soft longing, a yearning that is the crystallization of love and beauty. She creates mirage and illusion with a fluid dance of fanciful imagination, silently and effortlessly bringing her dreams to life. As you can do, because as the daughter, she is earth, and in the suit of Grails is water. Well, water gives life to the earth, and from the earth things can grow. You will be able, therefore, to make tangible your material and emotional desires. If, of course, you have a good plan, you concentrate your efforts and you follow through things. But her watery creativity really flourishes from her inner powers of creation and nourishes all her desires. And these desires can sometimes just be whims, which she wonders at and lets shimmer through her without the desire to capture them, I suppose. Now, but because of her delicacy and innocence here, at least as it appears to me, she is unaware of her powers of seduction, enticing and captivating her victims who adore that very innocence and worship her. While she drinks their blood, she is, after all, a vampire. In a sense, she might be the object of an unrequited love, untouchable, unattainable, yet she stirs the passions of others with haunting longings, and your irresistible beauty will be one of transparency, sweetness, and natural inner exhilaration. You will be sensual and provocative, and enchantment and seduction will be your weapons. Now, I think that the people important to you during this period are going to be Scorpio, I think it's going to be, maybe a Sagittarius and a Libra as well. But I will say this, that when she has arrived, as she has done, success and good news are coming. She brings social invitations to you. Now, she symbolizes new beginnings and the start of creative projects and ideas. Messages in dreams, heightened intuition, and maybe you might even have some psychic ability, you know. She signals that it's a time to trust your gut feelings and encourages you to get into metaphysical sciences and subjects. You'll have a heightened awareness, and you'll have a degree of compassion as well. You will have surfacing emotions that might make you feel vulnerable, but she reminds you that sensitivity is a gift and it is not a curse, and she encourages you to trust your feelings and not to be swayed by others and to be true to your heart. Well, what a particularly interesting spread of cards for you. Well done, you. Didn't you find that fascinating? I certainly did, and what a wonderful month it looks like it's going to be for you. That's just fantastic. By the way, if you did like the video, do me the favor of pressing the like button. It's good for the YouTube computer system or something. It allows the channel to be seen by other people like that. It's the only favor that I ask from you. But what I will say is this, though, and that until I see you next time, remember one thing. Well, actually, before I say that, check out the description box for the readings and in particular for the healings. I think you might be interested in the stuff that's there, particularly on my website. Now, until I see you again, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.